what that means, it's time for a chalk. Oh, there's folks out here working. So we're gonna go this way. It is a little chilly outside today. My nose is a little drippy, and I need to not be sick tomorrow. So I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it. But I'll be fine. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be amazing. Everything's gonna be better than all right. Everything's gonna be spectacular. So I'm out here. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about today. I had a thought to grab a deck, but then I was like, man. And then I was like, there isn't really anything I need to talk about today because I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking lately. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll just ramble and I'll rant on. I'm using hotspot internet from my other phone, so this is on my old phone. Um, and I was walking, and for some reason I thought, oh, well, here's an angel. I saw two little painted angels. You know how like you'll have the marble statues, and I guess in that way it makes me think of the marble statues from like Greece or from antiquity that are all just gray hunks of marble. But then, in is it UV imaging or something like that? They've discovered, and it's probably may have been known before it was discovered that they were actually colored. They were painted. They used dyes and everything like that. And so, in that way, it was a little atypical because I don't think there are too many angels with color out here. So first I noticed the two angels, the two painted angels, the two angels in color. And then I kept walking and I glanced over and I thought I saw a Virgo on the tombstone, but it was actually wood, WOOD. And then I rounded a corner and there was a little blue thing and I thought it said, "You are here," but it actually said, "Hug me." So what does that mean? I don't know. Am I going to pull cards on it later? Maybe. um, so I'm going to do, I think it's Cancer through Libra, maybe tomorrow at some point. Um, and I'm going to do it front and back. So it'll be like Cancer, Libra, Leo. There's five. Scorpio, Cancer, Scorpio, Leo, Libra, Virgo. That's how I'm going to do it. Virgo's last again. Huh, unintentional. Anyway, I'll probably do that tomorrow, or eh, I might go live today. We'll see. While I have the time, might as well, right? Because soon I'll have less of an abundance of it, thankfully. So, um, does that mean anything? Two painted angels with Virgo, and you are here. It honestly brings to mind, I used the vice versa tarot a while ago. And, so I used the vice versa tarot a while ago. And it was the other side of the death card where you see, instead of on the side of the living facing death, on the side of death in the energy of rebirth, you see, the monk on one side and the merchant on the other side with someone prancing in the back, and you see the sun. Now, the monk and the merchant are illustrated as dead. I can't remember if the person in the back was or not. But then that makes me think of, it was a while ago. I think it was a few readings where there was an energy of like being in the underworld. It was being in the underworld, but you didn't die, you, we, whatever. It was us being in the underworld, and we didn't die, and we hadn't partaken of any of the pomegranates. Because it's like, you know, if you're dead, you can't leave. And if you eat the food of the underworld, you can't leave. And so it was this like us being in the underworld, even though we didn't have to be. And we were still, and then that makes me think of Achenar and Akamar and Achenar, or whatever, the stars with Phaeton. I think Phaeton is the name of the son of Helios. Anyway, down in the underworld, and we didn't have to be. And we were working on something, or we were doing whatever, and there was the underworld minion who was like, do this or do that or whatever. And then there was a realization that, again, like we didn't die and we didn't eat uh, the fruit of the underworld. So there was nothing that tied us to that. Almost wanted to say dimension, but I want to use the word domain for some reason. Right before I started this, it was birds in the back, but I'm at the front, and it's cars and traffic up here. Also, I have a pizza to pick up in like 6 minutes, in like 10 ish minutes. Oh, see, this is why I did it on this phone. I was very smart, and I didn't know why. I was like, why don't I just use the other phone? So yeah, about 10 minutes. This is why, because now I can check it and not in the live stream. So there's a realization that we weren't legally bound to that domain. And then when that realization happens, like the little golden portal opens, and it's like, ah, and we just step through it and we exit the underworld. Now, I say that makes me think of Phaeton because of I think it's Akamar and Achernar stars in the constellation of the river Eridanus, maybe? Might be like Eridanus or something like that. I can Google it. I'm not gonna. We're just gonna go off the brain. Um, and I I went to constellations by names or something like that, and they have all of the like fixed stars by longitude or latitude throughout the constellations. So like Aries 17 degrees, or Pisces 24, or Virgo 75. Virgo 75 would be Scorpio 5, I think, because it's all 30 of Virgo, all 30 of Libra, and then 5 in the Scorpio. So anyway, and it was a story. It was the myth of, I believe his name is Phaeton, the son of Helios Apollo, who wanted to pull daddy's chariot. You know, Helios pulls the sun across the sky in his chariot. And Helios was like, no, you're not mature enough, you're not ready. Helios was like, or Phaeton was like, but I wanna. And his sisters and his mom, like, everybody got together to convince Apollo Helios to let Phaeton pull the chariot. Phaeton was not ready. The chariot flew too far from the earth, and the earth froze, and then it flew way too close. That's the ambulance. And then it flew way too close, and it like almost burnt everything up. And then Zeus was like, "This, he can't control it. We gotta end this before the earth is destroyed." So he hurled a thunderbolt. Oh, here are the painted angels. They have golden wings and tealy blue garb with gold trim. And then there's like the robin's egg blue, which is interesting because that was the color the other day. I would show you, but I don't. I let those who rest here rest here. I'm trying to put people on blast like that. But it's two of them, golden wings with like a aquamarine maybe. It's like a turquoise, but more blue, sort of like cloak, and then a robin's egg blue like cloth under it. So anyway, um, yeah, I just saw those again. So Jupiter's like, I got to take care of this. Hits him with the thunderbolt, and then I think the daughters of Helios Apollo get punished for the whole incident because they convinced, and maybe the mother too. They convinced Helios Apollo to let Phaeton take the reins. It's also interesting though because Helios Apollo is associated with prophecy and oracleism, as well as carrying the sun. But I guess it's less interesting if you think of the sun as that which illuminates things. Then it's like prophecy, illumination, you know, not too much of a stretch. But then that makes me think of, I think I shared it, it might have just been 24 hours, but in God of War Ragnarok, Brock talks about dwarven magic, and it's about the nature of a thing being more important than the form of the thing. And I guess that kind of sort of can play into integrity and principle that came out with the lion. But he wanted to capture the sound of the wind in the game, and he pulled out a bag. And they're like, "What are you going to do with that bag?" And he's like, "I'm going to get the sound of the wind." And they're like, "What? How?" And that's when he's like, "Because in dwarven magic, the nature of the thing is more important than its form. It's the nature of the bag to contain, to hold. So even though wind doesn't have matter and sound, even more so, like it's like that doesn't stop the bag from being able to do what's in its nature to do. Like if the sun's nature is to illuminate, but it's something far off into the future, that doesn't stop the sun from being able to illuminate prophecy. So, and then in that space, it was like, well, Phaeton did die, unlike the other one. Um, but it was like, he learns to pull a chariot. Maybe it's his punishment in the underworld. I don't know. But it's a punishment that serves as like training. So he learns to pull a chariot in the underworld of whatever. I think it was, I think Akamar is the new one, which in the runes for me is also wackened into Wickedcraft because I used the runes when I was doing the thing, right? Wackened is two kins, Wickedcraft is three kins. So when you get three kins deep, um, and when I did the raw runes, I did the first kin in like a midnight blue, the second kin in a purple, and the third kin black, which brings like Scorpio. Oh, Virgo, 75 degrees of Virgo is in Scorpio. Okay. Um, which brings, now here's the memorial circle for soldiers who, I don't know if it's a single word or if it's just one word. That might be my notification that the pizza is ready. That's 5:43. That's not my pizza is ready notification, but I do need to head back. So I'm gonna take this loop and then I'm gonna go. So anyway, he pulls a chariot as his punishment in the underworld, but it actually trains him, and that's an Achernar. And then what happened was people went further south, and when they went further south, the horizon, or the horizon revealed that there was one more star that was in that constellation, which is Akamar. That's the lithograph. When we go even deeper, we see that the constellation runs deeper. What we thought was the southernmost point before turns out to not be. This was a whole thing. So, Phaeton in the underworld pulls a chariot as a punishment that actually trains him on how to pull the chariot of the not underworld, like the chariot of Apollo, of Helios, the one that he lost control of before, the one that in the underworld he has now mastered. I'm going to take this greened over path. It was probably a road before the cemetery expanded or whatever, because you can tell that there's a path here. But these are beautiful white. I can show you these. I don't know what these are, but they are gorgeous. Rose. And then there's some like violets in there too, like whites and purples. You can see the path moving forward. I'm trying to be careful not to get anybody. This was actually one of the options when I did pick a thing from the cemetery video a long time ago. Oh, and that tree is in bloom. Makes me think of wisteria, but I don't think there's any wisteria around here. Um, so yeah, and then Phaeton leaves the underworld to pull the chariot of his father someday. So what he thought was punishment for a mistake that he made actually ended up preparing him to, once he reemerged from the underworld, to take on a mantle and to serve a role moving forward, which is similar to that realization, like, down in the underworld doing whatever, but you didn't die, you didn't eat from the fruit, nothing binds you to that domain. You get what you needed, you have the realization, your golden window opens, you leave. Makes me think of Gate 1, formerly Miss Remy Healings, now the Rare Gazelle in the Babylonian Gate series, how Ishtar went to the underworld and then rose from the underworld as a nun to be even more so. And that might have actually come up when I did the Akamar and Agronar. I know that energy came out recently, not too long ago, of like going through a process and then re-emerging even more so. It might have been when I was building the Lion's Blood, actually, I think. So maybe that's it. I'm going to end this little ramble. I don't know if there's necessarily, well, yeah, there is a throughput. It's just maybe there was a time, or for a time, where things could have been particularly dark, particularly difficult, particularly like it feels like decay, but I feel like it isn't. Like it feels like things are falling apart. It looks like things are falling apart, but it's actually revealing something beautiful. It's like what we thought of as decay was the rough being brushed off of the diamond. So that when all of the rough is brushed off, you realize you have a diamond. It's not a clump of dirt or whatever the diamond was in, right? Earth, which is a Virgo wood. Um, and Virgo is the hermit. Virgo is like Vestal Virgin, so it is almost a sacred grove kind of energy. And maybe there's an invitation back to life. Because that's, for some reason, the two angels made me think. That's I entered this tangent, which was the whole 20 minutes of this. It made me think of the space between life and death. I don't know if like one angel is life and the other angel is death. And when we transition, we sort of meet both. but something will be open to us. And maybe it'll put everything in context. Maybe we'll see how, when we were in the space of darkness and decay, again, as things were falling away, it's a decomposer, vulture energy, where the nutrients are fed back into the earth so that something new can grow. Yeah, maybe we'll see it. I guess it's another on the golden opportunity side. So I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to all that you wish to experience your reality. I'm gonna warm up before I get sick. And I'll catch y'all whenever I catch you. Bye.